Hello everybody and welcome back to Asagao Academy. When last we left off we were outside and being confronted by some stranger with 3 question marks in his name. But let us find out who that stranger is. Hey, you okay? You look a little lost. Someone called out to me and I turned around, almost jumping for joy. When I froze. A Normal Boots jacket! He was part of the Normal Boots Club. I could practically feel my tongue swelling in my mouth. If this was a Normal Boots Club member, I had to make a good impression. The bird isn't evil anymore, so I guess that's a good thing. Maybe he's temperamental, you know. He was one of the founders, right? Then he must be JonTron. Yes, I'm new. I don't know where Poppy Hall is. You a freshman? No problem. My class is in Poppy Hall. I'll walk you there.
Really?
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Was this really happening? He began walking toward a large brick building in an enthusiastic manner, pumping his arms up and down like he was in some kind of show tune. I fell into step behind him. Or beside him, rather. I didn't notice it when Mai pointed him out to me yesterday, but JonTron had big brown eyes and a warm-looking face. He was basically a human puppy. Yeah, okay. I glanced up at him out of the corner of my eye. A bird. A bird on his shoulder. Birds always made me uncomfortable. Something about the ease with which they could poke out someone's eyes. That is a very weird thought to have about birds. I can't ever say I've had that thought about birds, and I've seen the movie The Birds. Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one, girl. Is something wrong? Well, why'd you stop? No, nothing's wrong. I'm just weird. He followed my gaze to the bird on his shoulder.
Hey.
Oh, this is Jacques. Isn't he cute? Nice to meet. Oh, see, he's evil again. That bird is evil. The bird is evil. Nice to meet you. It spoke. Yeah. He put his hand to his shoulder. Jacques jumped into his palm. Jacques is a robot bird. See? That makes more sense. Hello. Jacques' eyes gleamed a dangerous red when he spoke, but nothing else suggested he wasn't a normal bird. That's enough. That's enough. Red eyes, red gleaming evil eyes, that's enough. In fact, if I hadn't known better, I would have said the red in his eyes was painted on. Except they're not, because they're not red anymore. So no, he's evil. He's evil. He's evil. That's amazing. Jacques twitched his head to the side, examining me in return. The more he looked at me, the less afraid I was. What are you looking at?
What?
Nothing. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Jacques can be a little sassy. Who are you calling sassy? I'm not the sassy one. I don't forget to feed you. Jacques, that was one time. What do you eat? Nuts and bolts? I was alone and starving in the frozen tundra of this empty world. Loveless, afraid. Why does it sound like a little old lady now? Ignore him. I've been bringing him with me to the drama club and he's taken it a little too well to it. I see how this is. Shut me out like I have nothing to add to the conversation. Now he's like part 40s Brooklyn cop. Ugh, I can't get my voices straight. Jacques retook his place on John's shoulder, this time facing away from us as if miffed. We resumed our walk towards Poppy Hall. I'm JonTron, by the way. Call me John. Hannah. Nice to meet you. Hannah. Sorry. That's a cute name. Thank you. So, how long have you had Jacques? Since middle school. We've been together for 4 years now. Ain't that right? I'm not listening. Yeah, well, I love him to death. I don't know what I'd do without him. It seemed like life would be a lot easier without him, but who was I to say? You know, robot birds taking over the world and all that, you know, it'd probably be easier. We arrived at the brick building. A white sign surrounded by poppies declared it to be, unsurprisingly, Poppy Hall. Which room are you in? Room 206.
Really?
Seriously? Yes. That's not a lie. That's my homeroom. We're in the same class. John laughed and clasped me on the shoulder. Wonderful. I guess I'll be seeing more of you then, right? Right. Together we entered Poppy Hall. Poppy Hall was lined with fluorescent lights and Asagao blue lockers. The lack of students milling around in the hallway indicated we were a bit late. We ran up the stairs and made it into the classroom just as the bell rang. My heart caught in my throat. Thankfully, the teacher hadn't come yet. Instead, students clumped into tight pods and milled around the classroom, catching up on vacation news.
John.
Thank you so much for showing me to class, John.
See you later.
No problem. I'll see you around. He waved and disappeared into the wriggling mass of students. I glanced around the room, looking for an empty seat.
Hannah.
Mai peeled herself out from between a cuddling couple. Was that JonTron? Were you just talking to JonTron? Yeah. Mai's eyes widened, and I couldn't help feeling a little smug. I realized I didn't know the way to class after you and I got separated, and he offered to walk me. Mai emitted a highly pressurized squeal. JonTron walked you to class? Oh my gosh, you have to tell me everything. So walking, he's got an evil robot bird. That's pretty much the highlight of the conversation. She grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me to an empty desk in the back corner of the room, right next to the window. I saved you a seat. I slid in and took off my backpack, hooking it on the side of my desk. I was a little bit worried the books inside were too heavy for the bag to handle, but so far it held up well. Sorry we got separated, by the way. It can get a little chaotic sometimes. So, tell me, what happened? What did he say? What did he smell like? Does he have peach fuzz? Is it rough? Did you guys kiss? Did you go to the bushes? Did you guys go and make whoopee? What do you think happened? Wait, what? These are very important questions I am asking. You need to answer them. Was his hair super silky, or did it have the roughness of a dog's coat? Before I could answer, the door to the front of the room slid open and a tall woman strolled in, and everybody went surprisingly quiet. The class went quiet and obediently slid into their seats. That never happens in the classrooms I've been in. Absolutely not. That is pretty much a cue for everybody to keep speaking louder because there was a big noise called the door slamming. So, my heart beat furiously, blood rushing through my ears.
Class.
She sounds like a joy. Teacher's melodious voice swam through the room, calming the buzzing high of students back from break. My shoulders relaxed and my fear ebbed away. I am your teacher, Shizuka Wakahisa. You may call me Miss Shizuka. The emphasis she placed on the word led me to believe calling her Mrs. wasn't a mistake she would take lightly. Some of you may have noticed that we have a new student this semester. A hail of murmurs passed through the class. Some people glanced at me. Nope, there was the fear again. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself? No, I would not. Thank you very much. I nodded, blah, blah, blah. That's why I wouldn't want to do it. I nodded, stood, and slowly walked to the front of the room, counting my steps to make sure I wouldn't fall. I faced the class, took a deep breath to introduce myself, and noticed a familiar face in the crowd. There was John, sitting with two other boys wearing normal Boots Club jackets. One of the boys, the tallest one, was staring at me, the barest of frowns on his face. Something about him seemed really familiar. Wait, he was PBG, wasn't he? The other founder of the Norman Boots Club? Suddenly all the strength left my knees. What should I do? Why was he frowning? Was it possible that I'd already made a bad impression on him? He had to be kidding me. If he didn't like me, what did that mean about everyone else? Wouldn't they follow his lead? I swallowed. The faces of the class began to congeal, forming one giant blob. You moved from Ameririsu, right? I nodded and swallowed again. Then, like a beacon of light, I noticed Mai smiling and giving me a thumbs up. That's right. What would Mai do in this situation?
Yes, I've just moved here. My name is Hana Mizuno. I transferred from Ameririsu Public High School.
Ameririsu. I cannot say that
I'm
properly.
really excited to be here. I hope you'll all take good care of me from now on.
That's a weird thing to say to a class. I hope you guys will take care of me. Because this is basically just a babysitting class. I hope you guys don't mind. That's a really weird thing. I bowed my head to the class and they clapped politely. When I looked up, PBG wasn't frowning, but he still seemed oddly confused. Maybe he always looked like that. Thank you. You may be seated. I returned to my seat, heaving a small sigh. The hardest part of the day was over. Shizuka began to talk about standard procedure for the semester, the rules for classes, when homework was due, and that sort of thing. It was all very similar to my old school, and I spaced out in spite of myself. A brief flicker of movement caught my eye. PBG again. I glanced at him, and his head snapped back to the blackboard. What was his problem? Class continued on like that until finally the bell rang and it was time for lunch. Oh, Mai stretched her arms over her head and yawned. Man, I hate the first day of class. It's always so boring. Weren't you looking forward to it this morning? Something about exciting things happening? Well, yeah, but it already did. You met JonTron, didn't you? Now I've got nothing left to look forward to. She sighed. And I was hoping to see Jared before class, too. She slouched and fell across the front of my desk. It seemed like this would be happening a lot. Is Jared really that hot? Mai's head snapped back up, her eyes flashing. What did you say? If you stare directly at him for too long, your nose will melt off. I've seen it happen. Okay, just really? Because that's something that could, like, make headlines for school. Melting noses and off of people's faces. That is something, like, Voldemort does. Are we talking about Voldemort? Is Jared Voldemort in this case? Is that what's happening now? Are we in a quasi-semi-Japanese themed Hogwarts? Is this what's happening? I don't know. But that kind of scares me.
What?
Anyways, let's head to lunch. I'm super hungry. Oh. I looked at my backpack. It held up well through class, but I worried that if I didn't take some time my stuff out now, I might do some permanent damage to it. I would be more worried about my nose, actually. Especially with Satch's book in there. I couldn't exactly afford a new backpack. I need to put something in my locker first. But if we don't go now, I'll run out of sesame seed buns. Oh, but the sesame seeds. That's okay, I'll just go on ahead. Come find me, okay? Alright. I was lucky to have someone like her as my roommate. Quick as I could, I went to my locker and shoved the book inside. As good as a book as it was, I was finally happier that I had Mai around, so I didn't have to read it. Without her, who knew what I would do with myself, especially with PBG staring at me like that. Maybe I could ask her what was up with him when I met her at the cafeteria? Might just be the way that he was. Cheered, I headed for the cafeteria. I carried my melon bread through the minefield of people searching for the now familiar sight of Mai's red hair. Where is she? I couldn't see her anywhere, and there was almost no empty spaces, or seats. Spaces and seats. All around me, students circled each other, laughing and joking, sharing bites of food and splitting the cost for sodas. Suddenly I felt very obvious and very, very alone. Isn't there anywhere I can sit? Just then I spotted a table at the front of the room. A lone boy sat at it, stabbing his spaghetti with the vigor of a Roman general. Do Roman generals really, like, have a very aggressive eating style when it comes to spaghetti? That's not something I remember reading in history books, but, you know. I'm willing to read up on that, because that sounds fascinating. He was having a hard time with it. I moved closer to him, working up the courage to ask to sit with him. Well, no wonder. He was eating his spaghetti with a spoon. Wait a second. This guy was in my class, wasn't he? I saw him that morning, at the front of the room. And he was wearing a jacket just like the normal Boots Club, but different. A golden gray jacket with an 8-bit block on the front. Was he a member of another club? Or maybe he was friends with them?
Hey!
Hey, what?
Hana!
Oh, Mai! Mai appeared between me and the boy, who glanced up at us before returning to his spaghetti. Thank goodness I found you. I saved a table for us in the back. Oh. I looked at the boy and then back at Mai. Come on! She grabbed my shoulder rather forcefully and pushed me to the back of the room. Hey, what's wrong?
Well,
You were so lucky I got here when I did. That kid is Brutal Moose. His real name's Ian. He's from the Hidden Block Club. Hidden Block Club? Yeah, the rival club of normal boots. He's really weird. I mean, she looked around her to make sure no one was listening in, but we were completely alone in our little corner of the cafeteria. He speaks in Comic Sans. I'm done. Episode over. This guy, he needs to go. This guy, as a graphic designer, that guy needs to go. We're done. We're done. This guy is my enemy. This guy is my enemy. We will deal with him next time, though. Because, yeah, that's about an episode. That's about an episode length. I don't like this Ian guy, though. Comic Sans is a no-no. You ask any graphic designer, and they will laugh at you with Comic Sans. So, yeah. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking of the game. I still can't. I love this game. I do love this game. I can't wait to see what happens with it. So, anyway, hope you guys are enjoying it. And as always, I'm TC Robson. Stay obsessed.